It's Debbie Potts, and I am doing another episode, a part of the series of finding the perfect protein, as I'm on a mission to improve my body composition, get stronger, get leaner, get faster, and more powerful as I age. So if you're like me, entering your second half of your life, let's start creating our ideal future self today.
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hello, my favorite low-carb aging athletes. I just wanted to share with you a special coupon code that I have from one of my favorite supplements, BioOptimizers. BioOptimizers has some great products that I often recommend to my health coaching clients based on their nutritional therapy analysis and their functional labs and food log symptoms that we look at. And a few of those are from BioOptimizers called HCl Breakthrough, Gluten Guardian, Magnesium Breakthrough, Capex, and their Masszymes enzymes, which is the strongest enzyme formula ever. And it has 5 different kinds of protease. Often we don't digest our food properly. So we are what we eat, but we also are what we can properly break down and absorb. So learn more from BioOptimizers. Check out their website and use our code LowCarbAthlete next time you go to purchase something. Enjoy. All right, I'm going into more information that we talked about with Dr. Minkoff on essential amino acids and finding the perfect amino. I wanted to go through some information on the protein utilization chart on their website, the ability to break down and use the proteins we're eating, and what is the perfect amino? What is a perfect protein source? So before that, I also was diving into Dr. Layne Norton, because the other big conversation to have is the role of insulin. It's kind of like cortisol and cholesterol. It's not bad or good. It's the right amount to create that positive response. Same as mTOR and AMPK pathway. We want everything in balance. Not too much, not too little, the right amount. That's what I call the Goldilocks effect. Now, I was looking up Layne because he's another expert in muscle protein, building muscle, longevity, nutrition. And I find it interesting. We always talk about insulin resistance and almost saying that insulin is bad, but it's also used when we are insulin sensitive to help build muscle. So going into the role of muscle protein and the muscle protein synthesis, getting lean body mass, lowering fat mass, different phases in our life. It's going to be different. As for females that are beginning around menopause, post-menopause, our estrogen's lower, we are more insulin insensitive. So that leads me down the pathway of Dr. Stacy Sims' research on aging women. We need to lift heavy weights and make up for that lack of estrogen. We need to time our carbohydrates to fuel our high-intensity workouts, but those carbs need to be in and around the workout so we can shuttle that glucose fuel into the muscles to help supply energy for that high intensity workout. But if we're eating carbs not around our workout, we don't have the same insulin response as we used to. So we are having to eat our carbohydrates around the workout for performance. So we have to earn them. You need them to go hard in your workout session, not your long, slow, easy stuff. You don't need so much. So the other thing is, if we are insulin insensitive, how can we get stronger? Is it necessary to stimulate muscle protein synthesis with insulin or not. So how do we grow muscle? Let's go into that. So Dr. Lane Norton has a great website, tons of videos on his YouTube, and his website's biolane.com. An article on anabolic eating for your age, written years ago, in 2012. So he's been doing this a long time. So there's some information to look up here on protein. So just a few things that I don't think have changed. The question is, how does age affect our anabolic response to protein? We talk about higher protein meals to increase muscle protein synthesis, and increasing muscle protein synthesis over time leads to more muscle, lean body mass, higher metabolism. Research suggests that younger individuals are more sensitive to the anabolic effects of amino acids. As we age, we become less sensitive to the anabolic effects of amino acids. Several researchers have shown that comparatively large doses of amino acids are required to maximize the anabolic response in the elderly, whatever that means, who are elderly, as opposed to young subjects. What is young these days? I don't know. It appears the decreased response in elderly may explain by decrease in the muscle cell content and the activity of mTOR and P70SK6K. And those are two kinases involved in directing protein synthesis. With this research, it has been demonstrated that older subjects require a greater amount of amino acids, specifically leucine. And since then, I think this doesn't talk about it because it came after this article, the leucine threshold, based on Dr. Donald Layman's research, that you need the 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine in that amino acid profile to create the muscle protein synthesis, and the dose needs to be 30 to 50 grams. That's Dr. Donald Layman's research. The amino acid responsible for stimulating muscle protein synthesis is that leucine. So if leucine is not the right amount, it doesn't happen. To maximize the protein. So part of this article said years ago, 10, 12 years ago, this is increased production of reactive oxygen species with age, ROS. ROS has been shown to decrease mTOR activity and inhibit muscle protein synthesis. So if we supplement with a combination of antioxidants away from exercise, vitamin E, vitamin A, zinc, selenium, then we can help restore the anabolic effect of a meal to the same level as a younger person. So eat your protein with the high in leucine and keep room for those supplements, antioxidants, essential amino acids. So that was years ago. And their recommendations for a younger person was 0.7 to 1 gram of pound of body weight. And then 21 to 40 was higher, 0.9 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And currently, I know Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I've said this a zillion times, is the 1 gram of protein for ideal body weight. So we want to look at research on aging athletes, talk about mTOR versus AMPK pathway, the role of insulin, and if you are insulin insensitive due to your hormones as us females that are aging, we really need to work on our nutrient timing, strategic carb timing around your workouts to improve performance. Because aging female athletes, we know we need more speed work in 20, 30-second doses at sprint interval training. We know we need more strength gains, not doing hypertrophy as 10, 12 repetitions. We need to go build that base up and then start to shift to a 3 to 6 rep protocol, doing 3 to 5 sets, lifting heavy weights to muscle fatigue with good form 2 to 4 times a week. Our cardio needs to be not just zone 2 for the females, 6 days a week, you need to do maybe once a week, zone 2, to maybe just doing it on the weekends, and then your weekday workouts are going to be different. But we identify, men and women, how they should fuel and train when I do your resting and exercise, we call active metabolism test. Now, what do you need to do is why we want to test and look at your blood chemistry markers as well as your gut and your Dutch tests ideally. But we want to look at how we can optimize our health, stimulate muscle protein synthesis, and how to eat for our age, how to improve our workouts to improve our muscle health. I think it's important as aging endurance athletes that we stop shifting our focus on long, slow distance training and focus on improving our strength, speed, and power for men as well as women. But we need to both remember we need to train differently than each other based on ideally investigating what you're doing now and how you can change it up. I think we focus on too much of the wrong training and too much of the wrong foods and not enough protein when I look at people's food log. So that's why I wanted to talk to Dr. Minkoff. We had part 1 and part 2 on the perfect protein, looking at essential amino acids and looking at different articles on the role of insulin in building muscle, mTOR versus AMPK. Do you need carbs or not carbs to build muscle? There's a big difference of opinion out there. If you talk to my carnivore people as Dr. Anthony Chafee, or you talk to Brad Kearns, who's experimenting, gone from keto to carnivore to adding in tons of fruit into his sprint workout routine, timing that around his workouts to improve performance. Again, in my other video, I said this, everybody's different. So we need to experiment. We need to look at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and Dr. Donald Lehman and look at Leon Norton's information on muscle health through the training and nutrition. Listen to Dr. Minkoff on the role of protein and amino acids in our body for longevity. Looking at metabolic health, starting with our muscle health. Looking at the macros as the 1 pound of ideal body weight in amount of your protein goal for the day. 0.7 and 1.0 grams of protein a day. But what sources of protein are you getting? Are they going to be utilized by your body, as we talk about in this show today? How much are you utilizing? Are you properly breaking down your food? Probably not. And we can test that with a GI map or Genova diagnostics. I can see if you have poor protein digestion, and we can see if you have poor digestive enzymes from your pancreas. We can also see more about your microbiome. So we can learn more about your nutrition through testing and food sensitivities, but we can also just go by your nutritional therapy assessment, signs and symptoms. Are you eating the right protein that you can break down and absorb? But are you getting that 30 to 50 grams of protein with what Dr. Gabrielle talks about, timing your carbs is 30 grams max per meal. So say you're having 3 meals a day, 50 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbohydrates, and fat to fill you up and satiated. So not so much keto, because it's almost the opposite. Now you're focusing on getting the protein goals, putting in the right amount of healthy fats so you feel full and satiated. Still need to remember healthy fats build our sex hormones. Sex hormones are made from cholesterol from triglycerides, breaking them down, make our cholesterol mix into our hormones. So we need proper nutrient-dense foods, but we have to properly digest and break down those foods and absorb it so we can use that fuel to build our body, build our cells. And looking at supplementing where we're not getting enough of. So taking essential fatty acids, taking essential amino acids, taking digestive enzymes before your meal may be beneficial. So those are some thoughts, but let's dive into this article from Body Health on how we can find ways to get the right amount of protein to create muscle protein synthesis and help avoid being in that catabolic state. As I've said, endurance exercise is breaking you down. Stress, cortisol breaks you down. Too much fasting is breaking you down. If you are in AMPK pathways, focusing on cell autophagy, too long of fasting, you're breaking your body down. So remember that bank deposit and withdrawals, we want to make sure we're not doing more withdrawals being in catabolic state than deposits of being anabolic building. So we want to eat good quality, nutrient-dense whole foods, have proper digestion and breakdown. And those that are more insulin insensitive, we need to have those nature's carbs timed right around that workout to improve performance when we want to go hard. When you're doing your sprint interval training, ladies, it's okay to have a little carbs. Now, my carbs, I haven't tried a banana, but that might be easier. We're so fearful of eating carbs, but I have this Laird's superfood bar that I like to have. My husband works for Laird's, so I have them on hand. They have 10 grams of plant-based protein, so that does not count as my muscle health protein, right? Remember, I have to have the right amount of amino acids and get that 30, 50 grams with the right amount of leucine, right? So that doesn't count for muscle health, but it helps for some fuel. Protein, carbs are 20 grams. So this is a half a bar. I might have 10 grams of carbs and 5 grams of protein, and then the fat is 8 grams. And mushroom adaptogens are in them. Functional ingredients do help with chaga, mushroom extract, and lion's mane. Those are good for brain health. Cordyceps is more endurance power. They should actually add cordyceps in there. So I just want to share this journey with you because as I work with my clients, I see a lot of people focusing on the wrong foods. And if you're not getting the results that you want from your fueling and training program, as I always say, we need to push pause, reset, and reboot, course correct. So trying something different is what I've been doing and listening to my body, seeing if it's working or not, checking body fat testing if you can, and just working on, is my speed improving and my performance? Am I getting stronger, faster? Now, I will add, side note, another podcast, I'll have Aaron Carson come on the show to talk about strength training. If you are thinking you do not need to do heavy weight lifting in the gym because you swim, because you ride your bike on hills, or you run hills, you run trails, you do hill sprints, it is not the same as heavy strength training in the gym to build muscle strength. That is muscular endurance. And for me, I'm a perfect example of when you have structural problems, you can't focus on function and building muscle until you resolve your structure problems. I finally figured out what's going on with my left side. Last 3 years, my muscles are not firing when I try to do a squat. Like I can use a bar to squat. I cannot add any weight. Everyone's doing deadlift with hundreds of pounds. I can't do anything but hold a kettlebell. And you really need to learn from a coach what you need to focus on, because just because I'm riding hills, it doesn't translate into my squat and deadlift weight. If you see me in the gym, I can lift the bar and I cannot get my muscles to fire because I have a neuromuscular issue and structural issue, and the nerves aren't firing through the left side, causing muscles not working and more grinding and weird sounds in my hips and my knees. But I can ride strong on hills because it's a different position. closed chain versus open chain. Swimmers, if you're swimming with paddles, I do that too. I have good power and strength, but that doesn't transfer into lifting heavy weights, weight bearing, doing 3 to 5 reps. They're different types of muscle strength training. So athletes, we still need to get into the gym, even 2 days a week, do a total body workout. If you have time, winter time especially, get in the gym. I go first thing in the morning. And then today we just did a 20-minute run after I did weights and some rope slams and some step ups and did my heavy weights on chest and triceps and did my mobility leg rehab work. Then I ran 20-something minutes, finished my run with backwards running and some side skipping drills. So you need to adjust how you're training. Don't keep doing the same program if you're not getting the desired results. Okay? So let's go into body health. I'll stop talking, but big topics we need to go into. Insulin's not bad. Strength training is important. Just because you swim, bike, run hills doesn't mean you don't need to do leg work in the gym and single leg stuff. Power, strength. Now, nutrition, just because you eat a high protein diet doesn't mean you're getting the amino acids. If you're having protein shakes all the time, we might not be getting as much as we think. So let's learn from this 3-part series about protein and amino acids. Read the website bodyhealth.com. Not all protein is bad. About perfect aminos, how you're going to be the catabolic. So remember, we can eat the food. It's not all good or bad. It's making sure you're getting the right foods in. But what happens to the food when you consume it? 2 pathways in the body, catabolic, anabolic. Catabolic means unused, wasted, breaking down. Anabolic means simply used or building. So when you eat chicken, the article says 32% of the amino acid gets used. That's anabolic, you're building muscle. They're broken down and reconstituted as new muscle in, say, your bicep, tendon, skin. But the 68% that you're not using is being more catabolic. The necessary ratios of each of the amino acids are not present. So the leftovers are being turned into nitrogen waste and eliminated from the body. That's why taking perhaps an essential amino acid is what I'm trying to do 3 times a day when I'm at home and trying to see if that makes a difference in my body composition because I'm already doing the workout part. So if you're not getting the nutrition right, nailed down, try this out. Okay, so let's go into more information, research on the perfect protein. Hey guys, it's Debbie, and I wanted to do a podcast that's going to go with the podcast I just recorded with Dr. Minkoff, and he is the founder of bodyhealth.com and the ideal protein called Perfect Aminos. And I started to research for our podcast and found some great information that I think you would like to hear and learn more about. How we are looking at getting enough protein in during the day. If we get at least 100 grams a day is the minimum we all need based on current research, and we want to get 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight in pounds. And that is especially important to get for those aging athletes and just athletes in general. And especially as female athletes, we really need to hit that protein goal. But the struggle is how? How do I get 30, 50 grams of protein per meal? How do I eat more than 2 meals a day? Because it's filling to eat protein and healthy fats and getting nature's carbs in a meal. I know I eat often during school week or work week, I always call it school, that we need that 30, 50 grams around, I eat about like 2 o'clock because I often go to master swimming and I come home after lunchtime is master swimming, come home, work a little bit and then eat lunch. It might be between 2 and 3 o'clock. And then I go back to work and then I go to bed around 8 o'clock. I start to get ready for stretching and my evening routine and reading my book and my journal. after 7. So my evenings start a little earlier than most people because I wake up around 4:30 a.m. and I'm an early riser and like to go to the gym. So my eating window is, trying to do a more of a 12-hour fast than 16 hours and 20 hours that I was doing because it was too much fasting to get the right amount of protein. And as I want to be lean, strong, powerful, and fast as I age, I need to prioritize protein. And doing OMAD, 1 meal a day, does not work for that. Getting my protein only in 2 meals a day is really hard. So if I'm trying to get 100, 150 grams of protein a day, I'm 5'10" and a half, say 5'11". I need my body, there's more of me. I need more protein. And I'm doing a lot of exercise and strength training, and I need to work on recovery and repair. And as a 50-something-year-old, my hormones are getting lower and I'm perimenopausal. So my body I need even more protein and more focus on resistance training to make up for the lack of hormones and all that. So interesting to look at information on amino acids. And Dr. Minkoff has this book that I have, I need to order the book because I cannot read on a book on a computer or an iPad. I need a hold a book. So I will read his book. It's called All About Protein. The title of it is, and links will be in the show notes, but we want to really look at how we can get enough protein in nutrient-dense foods and reach our goals. We've been so focused on being in keto. It's always been kind of annoying the last few years as I started getting into this lower carb lifestyle 15 years ago, but we never really prioritized protein. And it's so funny how we were so focused on eating fat and we're so focused on fasting and being a fat adapted. And now as we age, we realize, okay, maybe we didn't focus enough on protein. We're eating too many fats, and some people are getting too many calories in because they're eating a lot of fats because maybe it doesn't fill them up as much as it does as protein. So we need to individualize everything and not do a one-size-fits-all approach. But also, we need to figure out how to match our fueling and training together. So, point of today's mini episode is on amino acids. And what are the amino acids that the Dr. Minkoff's company sells, Body Health, the PerfectAmino? I met him, Dr. Minkoff, 2013. So 10 years ago, we had Ben Greenfield did a one and only superhuman coach program. And we had a conference in Spokane, Washington, February 2013. And I met up with, all these amazing people. I still talk to Rhonda Collier that we had a seminar from her on heart rate variability. And we had Dave Asprey there, and we had Jimmy Moore, and we had Dr. Minkoff talking about aminos. And so we were talking about all this stuff 10 years ago. And who's the other guy who was talking about ice therapy? So we were kind of early on before all this stuff got to be so popular. But amino acids are a great way to get protein in. But why are proteins so different? So people that are vegan and vegetarian, we can't just get protein 30 grams from a vegetarian source. That might not be the right amount of the essential amino acids. So looking at supplementing what we're not getting enough in our food plan, we might want to look at that. So I wanted to go over some of the information on bodyhealth.com on their website. How are protein sources so different? It's all in the ratio of essential amino acids. Every plant or animal has its own essential amino acid needs in different amounts, and it's no difference for the human body. What we get from these different sources isn't necessarily the ratio and the amounts that we need, as each source has a different amount and ratio to give. For example, whey protein pea protein and soy protein are only 16% to 18% essential amino acids in the correct ratio, one to another, that the human body can use to make new protein and collagen. The rest are non-essential amino acids that are not used or are extra essential amino acids that could not be paired. So what does this mean? It means that only 18% of the whey is actually used to make new protein. The rest, he says, is converted to sugar. This excess sugar, if it can't be immediately used, then triggers fat storage. Some people will say that if you only have some of the essential amino acids, then these will be mixed with other essential amino acids from other sources. This isn't true, Dr. Minkoff says, for one main reason. Your body cannot store amino acids for later use. It can store fat. It can store sugars in the form of glycogen, but it does not have a way to store amino acids. Amino acids will stay in the bloodstream for only 2 to 3 hours before being converted to sugar, if they can't be paired with other essential amino acids. This means two things. Number one, we're not getting nearly as much actual protein as we think. And number two, we have a large source of hidden sugars in our diet, which are not very helpful when trying to get lean and healthy. Now, their product from Body Health, Is PerfectAmino, is pure essential amino acids and nothing else. It doesn't have fillers or coatings, additives, or just big chalky tablets. But it's essential amino acids in a form that are 99% utilized to build new protein and collagen for muscle, skin, hair, bones, nerves, endocrine function, ligaments, and tendons. So there you go. That's why we need so many amino acids and get the essential, because look at how much of our body is built from amino acids. This has 99% of the amino acids are utilized. It means almost no calories. So one serving of essential aminos, the PerfectAminos that they sell, is equivalent to 30 grams of protein from whey. So here's my solution. If I am not able to get at least 100 to 150 grams of protein per day, that's my goal. Remember, it's 1 pound of your ideal body weight in pounds and equal to grams of protein, or at least 100 grams, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and Dr. Donald Lehman say. Now, if you can't get, say you're getting at least 30 grams in a meal, 30 to 50 grams is that right amount to get the right amount of leucine in that 2.7, 3.0 grams of leucine in that amino acid profile coming from that protein meal, 30 to 50 grams. If you're getting that in 2 meals a day, you're still at 60, right? Or 60 to 100 grams of protein. And if you're trying to get over 100, no matter what your ideal goal weight is, it's really hard to figure out how you're going to have another meal of 30 to 50 grams, because if you're like me, I'm stuffed after I have a high protein meal and more of an animal-based food plan. Fat, as I was doing keto for a long time, when it wasn't so trendy, well, now it's kind of more carnivores trendy, I was not eating enough protein, and I could eat a lot. Part of that, eating a lot of protein, as I talked to Dr. Minkoff, is that we might, 99% of the time, do not digest it properly. This is my challenge. And most of my clients, I do their functional lab testing and health investigation program. They find out with their labs, test and not guess, and look under the hood what's actually going on to add to your sources of internal chronic stress. Having poor digestive enzymes, is an issue for most of us. We need to often supplement, taking supplement digestive enzymes before we eat, and taking something to help break down the protein if you do not have elevated levels of H. pylori infection. So doing a GI test is really worth it before you start down a program. Even if you're just not having a lot of symptoms, you might not know that you are, because we get to accept this is how we are, this is my normal, this is how I always am, and you don't know how good you could feel unless you run a GI test. Excuse me. So if I could take aminos, I don't like having, you could drink them in water. As I don't do stevia, so most everybody uses stevia as a sweetener because it tastes horrible if you don't have a flavor to the aminos. But then I could do that twice a day and get equivalent of taking PerfectAminos of 30 grams of protein. So instead of adding more calories, so ideally you do your Pinoy resting metabolic test, we determine how many calories you need at rest with no daily activity, then add in your TDEE and your thermic effect of food, which is higher with more protein. And then we look at your exercise typical week and figure out how many calories do you need at rest and how many calories a day do you need on your exercise days. And then if you're trying to lose weight or gain weight or maintain weight. So the protein, as we go into my group program I'm creating, we need to keep the protein the same, no matter how low of the calories. So that protein number, your goal of 100 grams or more, is going to be the same, no matter what your total calories are based on your weight loss or weight gain or maintenance goal. And testing your body fat would be ideal too, to know your lean tissue to fat tissue. So if we can get 2 scoops of protein powder to get a 30 gram to 50 gram serving of protein, or you can do essential aminos as PerfectAmino. They're tabs, or they're not capsules, they're chalky tablets. 5 is 1 serving, so you need 10 of those to have 30 grams of protein, which is a great option if you don't want or feel like eating another meal, or you don't need more calories. So a good solution to get your protein in without getting extra calories, taking the supplement. And of course, you always need to prioritize protein plus resistance training, right? So we can't just ideally just work on nutrition, prioritizing protein, and not doing the rest of the program to improve your body composition. You need the right type of exercise. So that's what I thought was pretty amazing. If I could just figure out my 2 meals, focus on meal planning ahead of time, meal prepping, and having the quick and easy meal, first meal and my last meal of the day, which is typically 9 in the morning and then at 2:30 in the afternoon, and then supplement with my aminos. So they say on the Body Health website, the protein, taking essential aminos, is fully absorbed in the bloodstream in an average of 23 minutes. So if you take a supplement 20 to 30 minutes before a workout, it will be present in the bloodstream. And this will help you repair the micro tears in the muscle as they occur during your workout. They will help improve energy and endurance, as well as much faster recovery and lean muscle gain. So pretty amazing. For building lean and toned tissue, muscle tissue, without the calories and excess fat gain, and improving skin and hair, it's a great way to add in these supplements into your day. I'm not selling them. I just think the information on their website and their blogs is pretty good science-based resources for you. So the difference between essential and non-essential amino acids isn't that any are actually less essential than the other. It is that your body cannot produce the ones called essential amino acids on its own. We have to get these essential amino acids from outside sources, our food. But when we get those essential amino acids from an outside source, it can be used to make any of the other non-essential amino acids it needs crazy. But they have to be in the right ratio. What does that even mean? So Dr. Minkoff explains that it's not as simple as having one of each amino acids. Sometimes we need more, sometimes we need less. His example, you might understand, a bicycle. A bicycle has 2 tires, 1 frame, 1 handlebar, 1 chain, 2 brakes, and 1 seat. You need all of those parts to make a bike. But if you don't have a tire or handlebar, you won't be able to make a whole bike. What a great analogy. If you had 3 wheels to start, you'd be left with an extra. So you couldn't use it. And that obviously is a problem. So that really makes sense, doesn't it? Because we all probably have a bike. The same is true when dealing with amino acids. Too much of one or another cannot be used and is in excess. Excess non-essential amino acids are almost wholly not utilized. Only what the body needs is used. And the body can't store amino acids for later use. It can't store amino acids to use later. It needs to pair them to new amino acids coming in, and has 2 choices. It can convert them directly into energy, glucose, and eliminate them via the kidneys through the urine, or stored as fat. So the main thing Dr. Minkoff says is that they determine the main thing that determines which it does is metabolism, what it does. So how much excess sugar can the body burn? We know, as we get older, it's easier to gain weight. It's harder to lose it. And this is what I've been talking about for months, all year. How do we beat this belief that we get fat, slow, and tired as we get older? I always say we need to change how we train, how we fuel around our training, so we can perform our best every day. So as we get older, it is easier to gain weight and it is harder to lose it. And our metabolism is slower. But if it's given a low utilization protein like a whey, then more starts being converted to fats and less sugars to be burned. So taking essential amino acids are in the exact ratio. No matter the age, it can put them all to use. So next, they talk about how do different protein sources score as far as utilization rates. So just before we dive into that, just remember our metabolism gets slower. But if you listen to my other episodes I've been going on and on about is testing our metabolism and knowing how to improve it. That's prioritizing protein, changing how we train, focusing more on resistance training, adding in 2 or 3 sessions of HIIT training, depending on who you are, where you are right now. It's not one size fits all. And getting at least 1 day of some plyometrics or some power movements, jump training that are safe for your body. So you can do them in the pool. I saw Dr. Walls doing sprint intervals in her indoor pool today. It's a pretty cool video. So what are the different proteins and how are they used? Great chart. I'll put it in the blog post or head to bodyhealth.com and check out their information on the PerfectAmino. Different proteins are utilized at different rates. Some are very bad and some are better than others. So this is a big question. I just did a podcast that came out on animal protein versus plant-based protein. So this goes with that. Interesting. So let's go on. As these different amino acids cannot on their own be turned into protein for the body without the other essential amino acids. They're almost wholly useless at 1%. This takes into account any excess essential amino acids in the bloodstream from other protein sources. Okay, so then we go into whey, soy, and pea powders. These average 16 to 18% utilization, with the rest being converted to glucose or fats. Sheesh, I thought whey was always the best. All right, they say high levels of these or branch chain amino acids cause trouble for the kidneys and are responsible for the ammonia smell some people get in their sweat or urine. Then we have collagen powder. The rates for collagen powder depend on the different types or amounts of amino acids added to them. They range anywhere from 16 to 30% utilization. Red meats, fish, and poultry are utilized at 32%. Whole eggs are utilized at 48%, but they must be whole eggs, not the egg whites. They have to be the egg yolk and the egg white. When people just do the egg whites, they're utilized at 16%. So eat your whole egg. None of this, I'm afraid of cholesterol, by eating the egg yolk. It's crazy. So the perfect amino acid, the essential amino acids in the right ratio, is utilized at 99%. So good selling point. This is according to blood and urine tests. They're completely utilized, no waste, and only 2 calories a serving. So good promotion there. I'm sold. I want some. So more information on here you can read, but I think that it's looking at the essential amino acids and taking them, as I used to do it, amino acids from Hammer Nutrition every hour on my bike ride in Ironman training and racing. So they talk, Dr. Minkoff speaks about that on his website, that you could see muscle preserving effects from essential amino acid supplements when ingested, especially during training in a fasted or ketotic state. This includes decreased indicators of muscle damage and maintenance of healthy inflammatory response. So this means that if you took some essential amino acids, as I used to, which I used to take branch chain amino acids, so maybe it wasn't so great, because we know we need the essential amino acids in the right ratio to be effective. Consumed nothing else but aminos, you would not cannibalize your body as much as you would during a fasted workout session. We don't want to lose muscle. This is all these people doing excessive fasting. And I'm in one of a couple different fasting groups just because I like to listen to everyone's comments. And people are just doing so little calories and so little protein and working on just not eating for so long. And I just wondered what their body composition is doing. Aren't you breaking down muscle unless you maybe do the right training along with your fasting as heavy lifting, a few repetitions that you're not using muscle glycogen. So good information for the endurance athlete. If you are working out long, you're doing a marathon, Ironman training, long endurance events, this might be beneficial for you if you're not doing this already. There's a study they talk about showing consuming an essential amino acid mix after intense resistance training actually increased muscle protein growth and net muscle protein balance, indicating that these essential amino acids post-workout may stimulate faster muscle repair, recovery, and growth. Another study showed the potential for these essential amino acids to cause muscle growth and regeneration because they are potent mTOR activators. Remember, mTOR is big long word, potent rapamycin complex 1, mTOR 1 activator. This activates cell growth, causing muscle satellite cell proliferation for healing after injury. This gives them more muscle building potential, as would a large steak, but without a large amount of calories, preparation time, or digestive strength. And I know I'm really slow at breaking down protein because I'll eat it. That's why I can't eat a high protein meal and then go swimming, because it'll still be sitting there 3-4 hours later. So I have slow motility and really need digestive support more than normal. So as you get older, our muscles produce less, or we have delayed ability to proliferate satellite cells in response to exercise. And this is what Stacy Sims talks about in her Menopause 2.0 course. I went over this year. This is bad when you are considering that satellite cells are essential for skeletal muscle regeneration. However, it was found that those who consumed essential amino acids after resistance training had far greater satellite cell proliferation capacity than those who didn't supplement. Good to know. If you're interested in anti-aging, since muscle mass and resistance training keep you going, you want to know this. So, good information that if you even are into fasting, and hopefully you're not doing too much of it, especially females, we are already stressed out. If we have more excessive fasting, might be too much and you're breaking down your body in catabolic state. But what if you take essential amino acids? And this is something people have done on endurance events. Just at least you're taking the essential aminos during your training, hiking, long, strenuous events. May it be beneficial so you're not being in a catabolic state, so you're not losing muscle, and keep yourself healthy. So that is just what I wanted to share. It goes on and on, but the building blocks of protein, why taking a supplement of essential aminos is important. You want to make sure it has a tryptophan, and tryptophan encourages the release of neurotransmitters and hormones for mood, sleep, and those neurotransmitters is serotonin and melatonin. So that's what we always just had Thanksgiving, that we hear of tryptophan after turkey. You're going to get tired. Lysine, another amino acid. This is often deficient in a lot of people. You may need niacin, B vitamins, type of B, and this would slow connective tissue repair. Methionine. This supplies sulfur and other compounds you need for optimum metabolism and growth. Valine amino acid is needed for your muscle fibers to fire for tissue repair and maintenance of proper nitrogen balance in the body. And then we know about leucine. You're talking a lot about leucine. Stimulates muscle protein synthesis and may be the dominant fuel source involved in anabolic tissue building reactions. I'll have to dive into that one a little more. And then there's isoleucine. This is essential for blood sugar regulation, muscle development, repair, and energy regulation. Threonine is crucial for antibody production, immune system activity, and can be converted into glycine and serine. And then there's phenylalanine, I'm saying that wrong, stimulates the release of neurotransmitters and hormones, which are necessary substances for optimum activity for your central and peripheral nervous system. So you can see that these essential amino acids have specific functions in your body. And as aging athletes, and we're into performance and living simply ageless and being youthful, I would check out taking some supplementation if you're not getting it through your food and breaking that food down properly, as we talked about in the podcast. So let me know your questions. I just wanted to share this information with you. I look forward to diving into this a little bit more. Talk soon.
Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.